At that moment, Gojo arrived after buying a bunch of souvenirs, conveniently taking a few photos to tease Megumi, because this student had just been beaten up. When listening to Yuji's story, Gojo also knew that he had just swallowed Sukuna's finger, and when he got closer, Gojo realized that a part of Sukuna's power was in this body. So Gojo immediately asked Yuji to give up his body to Sukuna for about 10 seconds, so that he could test his strength with the Cursed King to see how strong he was. Saying that, Gojo threw the bag of candy back to Megumi to keep, and Sukuna immediately rushed towards Gojo to kill him, but Gojo easily dodged and sat on Sukuna's back like a pet, and Sukuna's subsequent attacks couldn't reach Gojo. Not only that, Gojo easily neutralized Sukuna's move and punched him in the mouth, followed by a punch causing the king of the boxing to fly dozens of meters away. Although Sukuna also showed his power with an attack that almost destroyed the entire school, but somehow Gojo was not injured at all and even signaled to Yuji that the 10-second time limit had expired. Yuji's body immediately returned, which surprised Gojo greatly, because Yuji could easily subdue the Cursed King Sukuna. After that, Gojo used a technique to make Yuji faint. Megumi understood that according to the rules of the Jutsu world, Yuji would be sentenced to death, but because Megumi did not want Yuji to die, he asked Gojo to think of a way to save him, and that was the whole story that Yuji was told by Gojo after a day. Gojo told Yuji that Gojo had just found a way to postpone his death sentence, because Yuji would become the vessel of Sukuna, so it would be a waste to destroy him now. Gojo's organization was currently hold 6 out of 20 fingers of Sukuna, and they intended to collect all these fingers into the container that was Yuji, then destroy both him and Sukuna at the same time to save time. Seeing that this request seemed reasonable, Gojo's superior agreed. So now Yuji had 2 choices. One was to execute immediately, or 2 was to swallow all of Sukuna's fingers and go to hell with him. The next morning Yuji went to the seniors to visit them after the incident the day before. Although Sasaki always blamed herself for injuring her teammates, Yuji said that he was the one at fault for bringing back that finger. Luckily, the people of the Magic Association would find a way to heal Iguchi, so he told Sasaki that there was no need to worrying about him anymore, but from now on Yuji would have to say goodbye to the club to go somewhere else. According to Gojo, Yuji knew that the curse had caused a lot of damage to humans. They created countless horror cases that no one could investigate, and with Sukuna, he created even more horrible scenes. After listening, Yuji thought that if Sukuna disappeared, the number of people killed by the killing curse would decrease. Gojo also agreed with this, so Yuji immediately asked the teacher for another finger of Sukuna. He immediately swallowed it into his stomach, causing the power of Sukuna to spread throughout his body. But even if he swallowed 2 fingers, Yuji could still suppress the Curse King from taking over this body. So Gojo was very happy because he had made the right decision, and Yuji promised Gojo that he would swallow all of Sukuna's fingers. But what happened next? The teacher had to take responsibility. Of course, Gojo would take care of Yuji. So soon he and Megumi would take Yuji to Tokyo Metropolitan Jujutsu Technical School. The next day, Yuji had to say goodbye to his grandfather to go on the road, and the place Gojo took him to was a school located in the mountains on the outskirts of Tokyo. This is one of the 2 magic education institutions in Japan. But before enrolling, Gojo had to take Yuji to meet the principal of this school. As soon as he finished speaking, Sukuna poked his mouth out to tease Gojo that he was just a subordinate. He was still angry because he was punched by teacher Gojo the day before. So Sukuna swore that after taking over Yuji's body, he would kill Gojo first. But Gojo only told Sukuna that if he came, he would be ready to welcome him. Seeing Yuji's question, Gojo explained that Sukuna was an evil god from 1,000 years ago. He defeated countless sorcerers and was known as the King of Curse. But even if the Curse King restored all his power, Gojo was not afraid to fight him. After a while of talking, they went to see the principal. When he saw him, Yuji was speechless because this principal was old and still played with dolls. Before that, the principal had received news that Gojo would bring Yuji here to enroll, but he still wanted to ask what Yuji's purpose was here. Yuji simply answered that he would learn the spell and take back all of Sukuna's fingers. But after hearing that, the principal judged that Yuji did not meet the requirements. After that, he controlled a cursed doll to test Yuji's strength to see how determined he was. As soon as he finished saying, the doll rushed towards Yuji and then threw a punch straight at his stomach, sending Yuji flying far back. While the doll showed a very provocative attitude, the principal said that he had to force Yuji into a corner to make him more honest, so the doll would attack him continuously until he heard an acceptable answer. Although Yuji could fight it hand to hand, this doll was a curse that could not be destroyed. On top of that, it was extremely fast, making Yuji not know which way to go, and in a moment of carelessness, Yuji was hit by a full blow from it. Then this stupid doll danced and raised its butt to provoke Yuji, making him extremely angry. The principal said that a sorcerer is an extremely stressful job because they always have to face death, so a mediocre motivation like Yuji is not enough to do this job. He thinks that Yuji wants to become a sorcerer just to prolong his death sentence. Yuji feels that although the principal speaks very harshly, the purpose is also to educate him. But the rude doll takes advantage of Yuji's inattention and gives him a few more punches, and the principal continues to question Yuji until he gets the answer from his heart. After thinking for a while, Yuji uses his head to counterattack the doll and control it. Yuji says that before his life was just hanging out and reading comics. However, when he learns that Sukuna has harmed many people, he cannot forgive him. Even though he knows he might die, Yuji will not regret his determination. After listening, the principal finally was also satisfied. He asked Gojo to lead Yuji back to the dormitory and explain the security rules, but he forgot to dispel the spell. So the doll gave Yuji an extra punch to welcome him to this school, although Yuji had become a student of the magic school. But Gojo said that he and Megumi would go find the fingers of Sukuna, and he didn't need to fight. However, Yuji thought he couldn't just sit around while Megumi struggled to bring the fingers back. Of course, Gojo just said that to test Yuji, because when he became a vessel for Sukuna, he would show Yuji where to find the remaining fingers. In other words, Yuji was an indispensable factor, and he always had to act with everyone. Just after leaving the room, the two met Megumi again, because he wanted this place to be more lively. Gojo arranged for these two young men to stay in the next room. Conveniently, Gojo immediately reminded everyone to prepare to pick up another freshman tomorrow. It's a girl who grew up in the countryside named Nobara.